Hello, sports fans. It's Saturday, November 30th. Welcome to Cleats by Dre. I am Dre. Let's talk some sports. Alright, hey everybody, and wow, it's as we're recording this, it's Friday night, late Friday night, early Saturday morning. As I'm preparing for this episode, I'm tracking some college football. It's that time of year, and that Georgia Tech game was nutty. What's the tally? 8 overtimes? We don't even have to talk about whether that's the right way to do overtime. Incredible. I mean, Georgia Tech had them from the jump. I'm an ACC guy. I've been, right, since I've been at Duke. Wouldn't we love a little shift in the tides to steal a pun, right? And have the SEC come down a peg? The SEC wasn't always the dominant conference. It was just another conference, I think, in the 2000s and the 90s. Georgia does not look scary, but that was one heck of a game. That was competitive. I feel bad for Georgia Tech. Since I've been a fan, they've really never been good in basketball except for 1 year when they made the title game. They've never been good at football. They're in Atlanta. I don't know quite enough about them, but man, they deserved better than that result from that game. But we're in wacky college football time. So yeah, we'll get into a little bit, but that's just I'm buzzing off that game. So we're gonna have a fun episode. Hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving. On this episode, think of it as 4 mini episodes in one. In the theme of Thanksgiving, I'll talk about what I'm thankful for 4 of my teams that are active right now. We'll do Notre Dame football. We'll do Duke basketball. We'll do the Knicks, and we'll do a little Giants. So let's go. Let's see, what am I thankful for with these 4 organizations. Okay, first up, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. What I'm thankful for is a guy, a budding star, that's become the face of this team, the face of the offense, and that's Jeremiah Love. What an exciting player. The hurdles, the grace, the explosiveness. Now, Mr. Love has 11 straight games with a rushing touchdown. You've heard that stat, right? That's 14 on the year. Who does he remind you of, right? I'm trying to find the comps. I went back. I did a little research on this. In recruiting, SI.com said they reminded him of CJ Procise, a fine player at ND, right? Fine running back / wide receiver. Come on, though. Into recruiting also on 3 had Kenyon Drake, an Alabama running back, 3rd-round pick of the Dolphins, decent NFL career. I get it. He was a 4-star. The Love was a 4-star recruit. Maybe these comps came from before they've seen him play. Al Golden, right, Notre Dame defensive coordinator over the summer, he compared him to Ricky Watters. That's big praise. Not only a Notre Dame great, but a 5-time NFL Pro Bowler and Super Bowl champion on the Niners. The Golden did add that Jeremiah is faster than Ricky. I went to AI, right? Perplexity AI, they offered up Aaron Jones, current Pro Bowl running back of the Vikings. You can't be mad at that, a Pro Bowler. ChatGPT offered up CJ Spiller, former Clemson and then Buffalo Bills great, and Jahmyr Gibbs, former Alabama and current Lions standout. I've seen shades of Reggie Bush. Probably not qualified. I'm probably over-biased, overhyped on that. But for me, it's the athleticism, the twitchiness that he runs, the hurdles. I was lucky enough to be in the stands at Yankee Stadium for the Army game, and that beatdown. But the grace which he finished off, I think that was the Irish's first touchdown on the passing play. The hurdle and then just a graceful landing. I feel like that doesn't get enough buzz. People were like shocked that can be done. He did the same thing against the Northern Illinois game. We forget it. That incredible hurdle to get us a touchdown. This guy's a stud. He hasn't gotten enough carries to really justify any kind of Heisman talk. And honestly, the stats that Ashton Genty, that Boise State's putting up, actually is more yards per carry than Love on way more carries, but different competition. But here's a couple stats that really go into the Irish rushing attack. Right, so Love is 121 carries, 850 yards on the year. That's just over 7.02 yards per carry. Really only 16th in the country, maybe about 4th or 5th for guys with that many carries. And maybe I'm overdoing it with Love because right behind him is Jadarian Price, who's equally explosive, equally incredible. He's at 77 carries, 550 yards. His average is a little bit over 7.01. That makes this Notre Dame running back tandem the only rushing attack in the country with 2 running backs averaging 7 yards per carry or more. Why is that important? Because depth. You can't just single in on one guy. Your defense needs a breather. No, we're going to bring fresh legs in. In a college football playoff format, where hopefully Notre Dame's going, 4 games back-to-back, you need depth. And we'll give you some more depth, right? Add in Riley Leonard, who's come on quite strong as of late. Now, this is the only rushing attack in the country with 3 runners averaging 6 yards per carry or more. Again, we need a nickname. We need a nickname for this Notre Dame rushing attack. I'm thankful for Jeremiah Love as I think the face. I think he's going to be a breakout against USC later on today and into the playoffs. And really, I guess the statement here is also hat tip that offensive line that we were all worried about at the start of the year. Incredible job for them gelling. And look, if I had to do a review of the Notre Dame season so far, I was kind of silly to say a boring schedule in the middle of the year. I said it was boring. Yeah, the opponents were boring, but the way this Irish team has dominated competition, I'm a big margin of victory guy. It's fun. It's fun. It's fun to see, and I hope it continues. Big game later today. You at USC, rivalry game. The spread is 7.5 in favor of the Irish. I'm not overly deep on USC. I know they changed quarterbacks recently. They had a tight win against UCLA last week. A lot of one-score games they've been in. I feel like people are still sleeping on Notre Dame. I'm not going to reveal who I'm picking. I might have to make some strategic moves for our pick 'em pool for the season long. But what I'll say is I definitely expect the Irish to win outright. And let's enjoy it. I mean, rivalry game at USC. I'm not even up to speed on the history here. I know there's been some clunkers in the past. But, man, what I keep seeing out of this team and what Marcus Freeman's rallying, a lot to be thankful for. I'm thankful for Jeremiah Love in particular. Okay, on to Duke basketball, which has had a pretty exciting last week, an exciting schedule. So it's hard to imagine even a week ago was that win at Arizona. What a fun, true road game, which we love to see. And again, incredible defensive performance against the Wildcats. Hasn't looked as good because Arizona went on to lose 2 in the Bahamas tournament. But it's early. And any kind of road win like that, this freshman class, this team has some fortitude. Of course, backed up against Kansas, marquee matchup, another incredible game, storied program. They lost, and how it happened was a little gross. You got their big guy Hunter Dickinson to foul out, about 10 minutes left, and then you couldn't bring it through. I know Kansas has the seniors that played really well. You hope it's not a trend with what's happening. Some late game kind of turnovers again. I'm thankful. It's November. Let's be honest. And a champion is crowned in April. I'm thankful it's November. What What's been good so far with Duke, their defense, right? We predicted it early on. If we use the Ken Palm rankings, their defensive rating, which I guess, their defensive rating is 87.4. So think of that as if they have 100 possessions, the advanced analytics think they'll give up 87 points on those 100 possessions. That's first in all of college. And that's actually Duke's best defensive rating since 2002. That's J. Will, Boozer, Dunleavy's last year. They lost in the tournament, but they were a dominant team all year. That's why you kind of heard on one of the earlier broadcasts, J. Will saying flat out, this is the most talented, deepest Duke team he's seen. Defense is already there. Incredible. Improvement needs to come on the offense. Their offensive rating is 116.9. That is 26th in the country. That's not good enough to win it all. That would be the worst offensive rating among title teams since UConn in 2014. That was a fluke UConn team. That was Shabazz Napier, right? Were they a 9 seed? Were they 11 seed? I don't exactly remember, but you can't count on that. The magic number with the Ken Palm stats is you want to be top 20 in offense and top 20 in defense pretty much every year, maybe except for that UConn year. You're a title contender. But look, we're thankful it's November. Lots of development can come. A weak ACC schedule where you can try different things out. One thing, Cooper Flagg needs to get stronger, and I'm a little worried about that because I don't think guys necessarily get stronger during the year. He needs to bulk up. Getting knocked off the ball too much, too many turnovers. He's been great overall, don't get me wrong, but if he's going to be one of our main initiators on offense, he's getting knocked off the ball too much. Coach Shire, I'm probably too tough on Shire. Not a lot of people can go toe-to-toe with Bill Self, let's be honest. But Shire needs to figure out where and how to generate more offense. What's his go-to lineup going to be? For my money, so far, it's clearly, Sion James and Proctor in the backcourt with Knipple and Flagg and then Brown in the center. That's not an overly initiating offense. Who's going to initiate offense? Where's he going to come from? Does Foster come off the bench? Who's going to provide a spark? But most importantly, the team just needs to learn how to play together, how to close games. We could break down that last drive against Kansas where they got the pick and roll with Knipple and Flagg that was working really well. Knipple takes it to the basket, and Sion James cuts and clogs the lane, and so Brown and James are all clogged, no spacing. They're going to have to figure that out. And honestly, I said in the preview, that's why I had Final Four as the ceiling, because I think the great teams, even look at Kansas, this is mostly the same team, core for last year or two. They get reps in, and they know how to play together. So it'll be a fun year. There's still time for it to grow. I'm thankful it's November. All right, the New York Knicks. Knicks are now 11-8. They hung on against the Charlotte Hornets, or really the D-League team, the Charlotte Hornets, by 1 point. They're 3-0 in the NBA Cup. The Knicks have been on and off, but 11-8, okay. I think it's fourth in the East. I'm thankful for the Knicks because this looks like the greatest offense in Knicks history. Whoa, what a statement. I mean, I made the note after watching that beatdown of the Denver Nuggets, the former champion Denver Nuggets, and the greatest player in the game right now, Nikola Jokic. Mike Breen, right, Knicks announcer, said it himself. He called that game one of the most efficient offensive games in Knicks history. And that man knows his Knicks history. That game had tied for the most assists in franchise history. Yeah, they followed up with clunkers against Dallas, and they hung on against Charlotte, 15 points in the first quarter. But this is today's NBA, right? I talked about it in my last episode. Teams are going to live and die by the three. There's going to be higher variance in these games. We as fans have to have patience. We have to see the big picture. But let's go back to that claim this looks like the greatest offense in Knicks history. And I want to look at some stats. We're going to go back to offensive rating for this. Now, it's tricky because in the NBA, we're in the midst of an offensive renaissance. And it's like we talked, it's due to the three-pointers. They're figuring out that you shoot more threes, you'll more likely to score more. I think that the Boston Celtics last year set the record for highest offensive rating in NBA history. So if you look at the Knicks' history, and I'm going back and forth, I'm looking at Basketball Reference right now. Yeah, this is the highest offensive rating in their history, 122.9. It's also the highest in the league right now, which is impressive too. But the Knicks' top two offensive ratings before this year were the previous 2 years. So, what's interesting is Basketball Reference has this stat called relative offensive rating. I don't know the nitty gritty of it, but I think they relate it to just in general where the state of the league is in terms of offense. The relative offensive rating of the Knicks this year is a 9.5, which would be by far the highest. The second highest or the highest full season so far, 5.2 relative offensive rating by the 2012-2013 Knicks, right? That was Melo. Really surrounded by shooters, and they shot a ton of threes. Jason Kidd, J.R. Smith, Shumpert, Novak. So the Knicks, not a franchise known for their offensive dominance throughout history, right? They're known for their defense. So isn't that kind of cool, kind of interesting, kind of different? An incredible offensive team in the Garden. It's fun, but is it uncomfortable? Is it uncomfortable for people? Is it uncomfortable for you? The flip side of this, of course, is the defensive part, right? Because this has been a very weak defensive team. And actually, this team would be the worst defensive team in Knicks history if you go by defensive rating. 117.6. The previous worst was 2 years ago, 114.8. But again, we're going to go to relative because in general, offenses are really figuring things out better than they ever had. So relative defensive rating would be 4.2. That would put them about 8th worst in franchise history, which still isn't very good because there's been some really bad teams in the Knicks. Some of the worst teams in the Knicks is the 1964 Knicks, 1966 Knicks, 1961 Knicks. I mean, these were teams that finished in last place. The 05-06 Knicks, the 07-08 Knicks, the 17-win 2015 Knicks. There's some bad teams there on defense, but still, this team, that's the rub. I want to look up real quick the stat from Kirk Goldsberry, because we know they're number one right now in offense in the last 10 games. In the last 10 games, the Knicks are 27th in the league in defense. So, we got to figure that out. Where I take solace is that's what Tibbs does, right? That's what Tibbs figures out. We should feel good about that. I'm thankful it's only November for the Knicks. But I think they'll figure it out. They'll get guys back. They'll figure out what's going on with the Bridges. The last stat I wanted to end on is an offensive stat. And Rit Holtzman from Knicks Film School, he's a great follow on X, great with the stats, great with breaking down the games. Something you could look for if you want to look for some way to know that this Knicks offense is really good. And you could, besides just saying they shoot a lot of threes, they're moving off the ball a lot better because they have a guy like Cat, right? Karl Anthony Towns is an underrated passer. So Rit was able to look at cut frequency, right? Off-ball cut frequency. And so two players in particular, right? Josh Hart, who's having a really solid year. He cut 6% of the time last year, 11.5% of the time now off the ball. And his points per possession have gone up. Same with OG. OG cut 8% last year, now cutting 10%. Points per possession are up. Overall, the Knicks as a team, 6.1% are cutting 6.1% of the time last year. This year, 7.5%. Their points per possession going from 1.27 to 1.39. So watch for that, right? Do you notice this team moving off the ball more? I hate to knock Julius Randle, but if you got a guy, Cat, that's a little bit more gifted, a little bit more willing as a passer, yeah, that'll happen, and that'll be good offense. So it's just cool. I'm not saying, this Knicks team is far from a finished product. I hope a lot of development's coming, but I'm excited to see a team with that kind of offense. That's fun to see. I've never seen that kind of offense that I'm like, wow. Instead of just, the ISO Patrick Ewing, the ISO Carmelo. This is a fun offense. I'm going to enjoy that. And I think they'll figure out the defense over time. Or maybe their offense just gets even better and better. And they don't have to. Coming up in the Knicks is I'm a little into the NBA Cup. I'd like them to make the top 8, get some meaningful reps in. They play the Magic, Orlando Magic, on Tuesday. I think they have a game before that on Sunday. I don't know who exactly they play, but on Tuesday night, I think it's a home game against the Orlando Magic, who are also 3-0 in their group. The Knicks do not have the best point differential. Close wins against the Nets and then the Hornets today. So they can't get that tiebreaker to get that 4th spot in the East in the NBA Cup. They got to beat the Magic, who are also 3-0. So that should be a fun one. I'm messing up whether that's Tuesday or Wednesday night, but look out for that. And lastly, let's have some fun. Giants football. And I've said it before, I'm not going to analyze this season anymore. This season's over. Even though it was kind of funny to see that Giants-Cowboys Thanksgiving game yesterday had 38 million viewers. It's on pace to be the most watched football game of the season, which I don't know what the people are watching. We were watching it at my mother-in-law's house. The kids wanted to play charades. We turned the game off and played charades, and it was a lot more fun, to be honest. So, what am I thankful for with the Giants? Well, actually, this outcome, right, in this season, this was one of my preferred outcomes. I said before the year, I was done on Daniel Jones. Time to either go tank or go big on a quarterback. I was like, either get Dak Prescott, go big, or tank, just take a shot at another quarterback. And it looks like, well, Dak's off the market. It looks like they're going to tank. They're doing it. So what I'm thankful for is a tangled web here. I'm actually thankful for a former Cowboy, a former Niner, a former Falcon, a former Atlanta Brave, a former Barstool Sports employee, a former Jackson State head coach, a current Colorado football head coach. I'm thankful for Neon Deion Sanders. Because I think Deion is going to usher Shadur Sanders to the Giants. I'm following the tea leaves here. I think the Giants are hot in Shadur. I think Deion's hot in the Giants. So my tea leaves are this. I think I caught a press conference a few weeks ago, some of the clips from that what Deion was talking about, and I've heard him say this last year too. Deion is going to pull an Archie Manning. He's going to place Shadur. He's probably going to place Travis Hunter also. He's going to place them wherever he thinks that they're most likely to succeed. A strong organization that has history, the right kind of coaching staff and front office, maybe the most marketable opportunities. Deion's not one to say, just wherever the chips go. So I think Deion's he's gonna bring Shadur to the Giants. And look, I haven't scouted Shadur, incredibly. It seems like he's had a great year. Incredible stats. He's got the pedigree. You want that NFL pedigree. My thing is, I'm not even I don't need to be hot on Shadur. I need the Giants to come away with a quarterback. There's no guarantee they'll get the first pick. We'll go through some of the other teams. So I want, if the Giants ended up 4th in the Eli Manning draft, and they still managed to get their guy Eli, right? Archie was able to pull that, that big of a move. But the Giants just need to start taking shots with quarterbacks. And I don't care if it's a down year. I don't care if Shadur turns out to be not the guy. You just got to take chances. But right, you had that Deion quote. He's going to usher his guy to wherever he wants. And then the Giants staff. And Deion's welcomed the Giants staff. It started, again, a few weeks ago. Brandon Brown, who's the assistant GM of the Giants, he just showed up at practice. And he wasn't just there to scout. Dion put him in front of the team and had Brandon Brown introduce himself. And then when he noticed his players weren't kind of listening, had Brandon Brown say his title again to the players. Assistant GM of the Giants. And gave him a little motivational talk. And what I think is important about that is, I don't want to go too deep into this, right? But Dion is about representation for the black athlete and rights for the black athlete and black men in general. And I think he wanted his players to see, hey, you don't just have to play football for a few years. This guy is on a fast track to running a professional football team. So I think Dion likes Brandon Brown. And then this past week, I saw Joe Shane visit a practice with Brown, and they brought along Jesse Armstead. Jesse Armstead's a Giant great. He, at times, was even better than Strahan in the 90s, but on par with Strahan. They made a great team. My first team is playing Madden NFL video game, which, by the way, my son is obsessed with getting for Hanukkah. Unfortunately, they don't have it for Nintendo Switch. We're going to have to figure this out. So he's asking for a computer now, right? Because he just wants a computer to play Madden. I'm going to figure that out. We'll figure that out. But I played Madden 95, 96. The Giants weren't very good, but man, Armstead and Strahan and Jason Sehorn, my Giants fans. But Armstead was there, and look, Armstead played from 93 to 2003. Him and Dion, both standout Pro Bowl defenders in that time period. So there's a lot of things to like here. And look, I'm obviously myopic, right? I know the Giants. I'm sure each of these other teams, maybe, are going to go visit with Dion and the other quarterbacks too. But there's something here. There's enough in the water here. So if we had to look at the Giants' competition, if they want a Shedeur to go get him, what did we talked about? A strong franchise tradition. Guys that know how to develop quarterbacks. And let's pause there on the Giants, right? Because a lot of trash has come out and a lot of doubting of this Giants' ability to develop quarterbacks. Daniel Jones is the only quarterback they've really tried to develop for 6 years, right? I still go back to Dable and Josh Allen. And sure, you can say Josh Allen was just as much responsible, but Dable was there when it started. And so, Dable was a coach on the staff for Brady. Dable's at Alabama. I think there's still faith in this Giants quarterback development system. And the Giants are one of those organizations that knows how to handle quarterbacks, knows how to build around them. If I had to look at some of these other teams, there's really just one other that gives me concern that maybe Dion wants to usher Shedeur to, and that's the Raiders, who the Giants are tied with at 2-10 now. The Las Vegas Raiders. They'll obviously be looking at a quarterback. Somewhat of a storied franchise. Not a lot of success lately. Can't say that about the Giants either. Tom Brady as a minority owner worries me a little bit. That's a guy that, at least, I don't know if he knows how to develop a quarterback, but he was an incredible quarterback. So that could be a competition. But, the Jaguars, they're not looking for a quarterback. I don't think so. And they're also a trash franchise. The Pats, not looking for a quarterback. They got Drake May. The Browns are going to be up there. Trash franchise. Panthers, trash franchise. Jets, hate to say it, guys, trash franchise. Titans, trash franchise. Those are all the teams with 3 wins or less right now. If Dion's going to usher Shedeur somewhere, it's the Giants or the Raiders. And that's exciting. Because I would love to see it on the Giants. And maybe I'm going to start watching him more. Maybe I got to watch his bowl game because he just put 52 up on Oklahoma State. That'd be fun. Let's have some hope. So I'm thankful for Dion. Always killed the Giants when he was on the Cowboys and the Niners. Never really been a huge New York guy. But I think he sees something and I'm here for it. So let's hope it happens. All right, let's end it there, folks. Thanks. I hope you had a good week, good Thanksgiving. Enjoy some great sports coming up this weekend, some great games, and I'll talk to you next week. In the meantime, please feel free to follow me on X, Cleats by Dre _pod. Same with Instagram. Send me a message if you like this episode, any particular part of it. Would love to hear from you. Okay, take care.